What if I told you that people don't really follow the smartest person in the room?
Hmm. Interesting start. Go on.
They follow the clearest, most confident communicator. Seriously. If you want to lead, get respect, or maybe just, stop being ignored, your words matter.
Okay. Yeah.
This deep dive, it could change the way you speak forever.
That's quite the claim, but honestly, I think it cuts right to the chase. Think about it. How often have you seen someone brilliant, really brilliant ideas, but they just struggle?
All the time. Struggle to get buy-in, right?
Mhm.
Because they couldn't communicate effectively.
Exactly. It happens way more than you'd think.
Absolutely. So forget this idea that, your IQ speaks for itself. Today, we're not getting bogged down in complex theories or anything like that.
No.
Our mission really is to give you 5 fundamental communication skills. Master these and, well, you won't just be heard. You'll command attention, build trust, and really boost your influence in any conversation.
And that's key. Any conversation. It's not just for big presentations.
Right.
These skills, they're the foundation. Whether you're trying to start a new conversation, maybe clear up a misunderstanding, or just make sure people actually value what you're saying.
Okay, let's dive in. Skill number 1 might feel a bit backwards at first. Speak to lead, not necessarily to be liked.
Yes. This trips a lot of people up. We're often, kind of conditioned to seek approval, avoid rocking the boat.
Make everyone feel comfy?
Exactly. And look, those intentions aren't bad, but they can seriously undermine your ability to actually lead, whether it's
Yeah.
a conversation or a whole team.
Right. Think about how often we soften things. We hedge our bets with phrases that just water down the message.
Mhm.
It's like we're asking permission just to have an opinion instead of, stating it clearly. But here's the thing. Leadership isn't a popularity contest. It's about providing direction, getting things moving.
Precisely. And look, being direct and clear, it doesn't mean being a jerk. It's not about being unkind. It's about valuing your own perspective and delivering it in a way that encourages progress. Think about this contrast, which sounds stronger. I'm just thinking, but maybe this idea could possibly work, though I'm not totally sure.
Ugh. Painful.
Yeah.
Compared to.
Compared to, here's an idea that can work. Let's explore its benefits.
Yeah, no contest. The second one just lands with so much more authority, even if the idea itself is identical. The first one is almost apologizing for taking up space.
And that confidence, it's infectious. When you speak with certainty, even if you don't have all the answers yet, it makes others more likely to trust your thinking to follow your lead.
It's fascinating how quickly people equate that tentativeness with maybe not knowing your stuff.
Absolutely. Even if you're exploring something new, presenting your thoughts clearly signals, I've thought about this, I'm ready to contribute. It earns respect.
So for someone listening who wants to shift towards this speak to lead mindset, what are some practical first steps?
Okay, start by just listening to yourself.
Mm.
Audit your own language. How often do you use qualifiers? I think, maybe, sort of. Just wondering if...
Those little words that creep in.
Yeah, try consciously swapping them out. Instead of, I think this is good, try, this is a good direction, or this is the direction we should take. Instead of, maybe we could try this, just say, let's try this.
Own it.
Own the statement. It's like giving yourself permission to add value. And that clarity, that directness, often that's what sparks real conversation and earns respect.
Okay, solid first point. Let's move to something that can really muddy the waters. Our emotions.
Yes, skill two. Emotions can kill clarity. We all have passion, that's good, but unchecked emotion, it can completely derail your message. Have you ever been talking to someone and their anger or frustration just took over?
Oh, definitely. You stop hearing what they're saying
Right.
and you just focus on how they're saying it. The emotion becomes the whole point.
Exactly. It overshadows everything. It's like static on the line.
Yeah.
And in leadership, like we said, keeping some control there is just crucial for guiding people.
Because when someone gets really emotional, your first instinct isn't to engage with their idea. It's usually to manage their feelings, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
You end up managing the person, not the problem. The whole conversation gets sidetracked.
So what can you actually do? How do you keep emotions in check but still be authentic?
Well, the simplest thing, pause.
Mm.
Just take a breath before you react. Feel that emotion bubble up. Breathe. That tiny delay can stop a knee-jerk response.
Okay. Pause. What else?
Shift your focus.
Yeah.
Instead of dwelling on how you feel, ask yourself, what's the goal here? What do I actually want to achieve with this conversation? That helps you choose a more measured, more effective response.
And you mentioned a visualization, the blade of grass.
Right. Imagine a blade of grass in the wind. It bends, it sways with the force, acknowledges it, but it doesn't snap.
It stays rooted.
Exactly. You can acknowledge your emotions, okay, I'm feeling frustrated, without letting them break your composure or wreck your message. Let the feeling pass through without dictating your words. Stay rooted in your purpose.
I like that. So before speaking, when you're worked up, ask, what's my goal? If the goal is clarity, then calm needs to be the priority. So instead of blurting out, I'm so mad, this always happens, what's a better way to start that conversation?
You shift to the problem, not the feeling. You might say, okay, this issue has come up again. Let's figure out the root cause so we can find a lasting fix.
Much more constructive, opens the door for problem solving, not just venting.
Exactly. It reframes it. Emotion is normal, but don't let it hijack the conversation. Let logic and your intention lead.
Okay, makes sense. Let's move to skill 3. Speaking with authority, not volume.
Ah, yes, a really critical distinction.
Yeah.
So many people think authority means being the loudest, shouting people down.
Yeah, the loudest person wins.
Not at all. True authority, it comes from conviction, from clarity. It's about the weight of your words, not the decibels.
So it's not about dominating with sound.
No, definitely not. In fact, sometimes speaking more quietly, but with real clarity and purpose, can be way more powerful. It makes people lean in. Think about someone you find truly authoritative. Is it their volume? Or is it what they say and how confidently they say it?
It's almost always the substance and the delivery, yeah. So even before we say anything, what can we do internally to build that authority?
It starts with knowing your why. Absolute clarity on your purpose. Before you jump into any conversation, ask yourself, why am I here? And what specific outcome do I want?
Define the target.
Exactly. If you haven't defined that internal target, your words will likely feel a bit aimless, like background noise. You won't sound authoritative because you haven't anchored yourself.
So that inner clarity fuels the outer confidence. Okay, what about tangible techniques, things we can actually practice in our delivery?
There are several subtle things. First, slow down. Just slow your pace. Rushing often signals nervousness.
Makes you sound unsure.
Right. Second, use pauses. Don't be afraid of silence. A deliberate pause before answering a question or after making a key point. It adds weight, shows control.
Instead of just filling the space.
Exactly. And then there's body language. Sit up, stand tall, make steady eye contact. These nonverbals shout confidence, reinforcing your words.
It's easy to fall into those nervous habits, though, right? Fidgeting, talking too fast.
Oh, absolutely. We all do it when we're nervous, but they're habits. You can become aware of them and consciously work on changing them. And for anyone listening who's learning English, remember this. Authority is not about perfect grammar or zero accent.
Good point.
It's about the conviction, the clarity you bring. Don't let small stumbles undermine your confidence in your message.
You mentioned a time you went into a meeting without that clear purpose. How did that play out?
Oh, it was bad. I remember just feeling lost. I hadn't thought through why I was there, what I wanted to achieve. So my comments were kind of hesitant. I jumped around, and honestly, I felt like I added nothing, just noise.
A learning moment.
Definitely. It taught me to always define my target before I speak. That shift made a huge difference in how authoritative I sounded and the impact I had.
So know your objective. That's the foundation for authority, not just turning up the volume. Okay, let's explore something maybe counterintuitive. The power of asking questions. Skill 4.
Yes, questions are often more valuable than answers, especially if you want to guide a conversation or really understand something deeply. Good communicators, good leaders, they prioritize asking insightful questions, not just, having all the solutions ready.
That flips the script a bit, doesn't it? We often think expertise means dishing out answers.
Exactly. But think about it. A really good question. It can unlock information, challenge assumptions, gently steer a conversation. Plus, it shows you're curious, you're engaged. That builds connection.
And you mentioned this is great for English learners, too.
Absolutely. Asking thoughtful questions is a fantastic way to participate actively, even if you're still building vocabulary. It keeps you in the loop, keeps you learning.
You used that analogy of the tangled necklace. Can you unpack that?
Sure. Imagine a really complex issue is like a hopelessly tangled necklace chain. If you just yank at it, try to force a solution, you'll probably make the knots worse.
Right.
But if you gently pull on different threads, ask questions about how things are connected. What happens if we move this part? How did this get tangled here? You can start to carefully undo the knots. Insightful questions do the same for complex conversations. They help you gently untangle the core issues.
I love that. So how do we get better at asking those kinds of questions? Move beyond the superficial stuff.
It's often about shifting from closed questions, the yes-no kind, to open-ended ones. Questions that invite more than a one-word answer.
Like instead of, are you busy?
Yeah, instead of, are you busy? Maybe try, what's taking up most of your focus right now? Or instead of, did you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe ask, what are your initial thoughts on this? Or how does this land with you?
Ah, okay. Those definitely invite more thought, more conversation. They open things up instead of shutting them down.
Exactly. And they do two things. They give you richer information, and they show the other person you genuinely care about their perspective, which, again, for language learners, creates more space to practice expressing those perspectives.
You had that childhood story, the question game.
Yes. My mother used to make me ask 3 meaningful questions whenever I met someone new or went somewhere interesting.
3 questions.
3 questions, not like an interrogation. But it trained me to be curious, to listen actively to the answers, and it showed me early on how asking the right question can unlock understanding and build a real connection. It's a skill.
That's brilliant. Okay, challenge for everyone listening.
Try it today. In maybe 3 conversations, push yourself to ask just 1 or 2 questions that go a bit deeper than usual, something that invites reflection. And for our English learners, maybe prepare 1 or 2 open-ended questions you can use next time you chat with someone. Practice them.
Great challenge.
Yeah.
Because asking a powerful question is often way more impactful than having the perfect answer. Okay, final skill, number 5. Say only what matters.
Yes, the art of conciseness. In this, overloaded world we live in, being able to be brief and clear, that's a superpower. Say only what matters and your message actually gets through. It gets heard, understood, remembered.
It feels like confidence is tied into this one, too. You have to trust your core message is strong enough, right? Without all the extra padding.
Totally. A lot of the time, that urge to over-explain, to fill every silence, it comes from insecurity.
Nerves?
Nerves, yeah. Especially perhaps for language learners who might feel they need to keep talking to prove they can. But you have to learn the power of silence, the impact of just stopping.
You shared a pretty raw story about this, trying to fire someone when the rambling backfired.
Oh, that was tough. A really painful lesson. I was so nervous, so uncomfortable that I just kept talking, adding justifications, explanations, burying the actual point, which was, unfortunately, that their job was ending. But I talked around it so much, trying to soften it, that the core message got completely lost in the verbal fog. It just made everything worse, prolonged the agony. I learned that directness, delivered kindly but clearly, is essential, especially for tough conversations. Don't keep circling the runway, land the plane.
Plan the plane. Good analogy, say the thing. So, how do we practice this? How do we get better at being concise?
Before you speak, especially in an important situation, pause. Distill it. What is the one key thing you need them to take away? Focus on delivering that core message. Clearly, directly, no jargon, no tangents if you can help it, and then stop talking, let it land, give people a moment to process. Resist the urge to immediately fill the silence or repeat yourself.
Which can be a tendency, right? Especially if you're worried about being understood, maybe as a language learner, repeating it 3 times.
Exactly. But often, saying it clearly once is more powerful. Trust your clarity.
And it's not just the words. Nonverbals matter here too, right? To back up that concise message.
Hugely important. Your body language needs to match that confidence. Good posture, sit or stand tall. Shoulders back. Steady eye contact. Controlled gestures. And your voice projected. Don't mumble.
Speak up slightly.
Yeah, maybe just a bit louder than your usual comfort zone. A quiet voice can unintentionally signal a lack of belief in your own message. Speak like you expect to be heard.
Okay, let's quickly recap those 5 skills we had. Speak to lead, not just to be liked.
Control emotion, lead with clarity.
Use authority based on intention, not noise.
Ask strategic questions, often better than having answers.
And finally, cut the fluff. Say only what truly matters.
Then I just want to reiterate, for anyone mastering English listening to this, you don't need perfect fluency to use these skills. Focus on these principles. Clarity, confidence, intention. They make you powerful at any stage.
Absolutely. Becoming a clear, confident communicator, it really is a skill. You practice it, you refine it, and applying these techniques, you won't just be heard. You'll start to be truly memorable. You'll start those conversations that matter.
Exactly. These skills aren't just about sounding better. They're about enhancing your ability to connect, influence, and lead in any language, in any situation.
So we really encourage you, start experimenting. Try 1 or 2 of these ideas out in your next conversation. See what happens. And of course, subscribe to the deep dive for more. Share this with anyone who wants to level up their communication.
And leave us a review. We love hearing from you.
We do.
And next time, we're going to dig into some real-world examples, break down actual conversations to see these principles in action. It'll be really practical.
Looking forward to that. Until then, speak smart
Live bold.
and start those conversations. Catch you soon.